Hey everyone, I'm back, yes, early in the morning with coffee and Christ. And I've been having just these video journals as I've been just exploring life, especially during this coronavirus season. And so I've been making them like videos because you guys been asking for them. And so last time, if you were on with me, I had a group of sisters that came on and we talked about everything: transparency, marriage, friends, everything. And I couldn't do that without having some brothers on. So I asked two of the most transparent brothers to come on with me and just be a part of the show. So I am going to bring them in. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
How are you guys?
I am well, thank you.
Yes, I'm well too.
I'm going to let you guys introduce yourself, and then I'm going to put y'all in the hot seat. So yeah. Winfred, you go first.
I was going to say I'm gonna let the gray beard.
Well, I'm EC Cunningham. I work at a tech company, and I love God and love people. And yeah, I'll keep it short.
That's who it is.
Winfred Burns II. I am the CEO of Global Drive Network and the Scoop Show, as well as they call me the Money Mentor because I help families and individuals eliminate debt and to create wealth. I'm also a pastoral resident here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. So good to be here.
Really? I just left Grand Rapids. I didn't know that. Okay.
Okay.
Y'all gotta connect. I told y'all.
Definitely.
I know I sent y'all some questions, but I have another question since it's Black History Month. And so happy Black History.
Yes.
But how do y'all feel as brothers during this time with everything that's been going on with George Floyd and so much going on? How do you feel as African American men? And especially because, and I got to be transparent for me, some of the things that I've been hearing white Christians say really has made me go to Jesus and be like, okay, help me, Lord, And I have some amazing white Christian friends who really understand the cause, but I have to remember that I got some white friends that know the cause, so I won't project all those feelings on them. So how do you feel? Winfred, you first. How do you feel, in this season?
Yeah. So I think I personally feel like I'm in the middle of, on the one end, this kind of what you said, this anger, or maybe what you're alluding to, this anger, this wanting to fight, feeling, and on the other side, I also feel this huge sense of responsibility because I personally don't feel like I have done enough for the culture. So it's like and I'm happy that this is happening, that this moment is happening, but I recognize that this is a moment that that me as a Black man, us as Black men, really can champion and step up and lead and protect our women. And so I feel like all of that at one, I have all these emotions happening at the same time. So
yeah.
Man, I totally agree with you, Winfred. I'll put it this way. I grew up in the south suburbs of Chicago. Went to school. I was part of that busing in 1980 to white schools. So in my rearing, our family was Black, but we had to mingle and connect with other cultures, specifically white. And I was called the N-word. Well, I heard my first N-word outside of my home, probably when I was going to fourth grade. And all that to say, I feel that responsibility to speak up on behalf of my people. I've never been street, but I now am sensing an urgency to speak up, as Proverbs 31 says, for the oppressed, 31:89, for the oppressed and for those who don't have a voice. I feel like in this time there is a responsibility as a Black man to speak. and then secondly and lastly, I think I was in Grand Rapids as a youth pastor there for a year, and I've listened to two white songs since I left in 2019, two white Christian songs. Because, and this was before, quite honestly, before all of what went down last year. And I say that to say, we talk about transparency. I've been having a hard time with white Christians for a minute now, for almost 2 years now. And I love white people. I have amazing white. I work with some amazing people who are white and other races. But white Christians right now, I've been studying the book of Acts since June with a group of friends, and it's exposed. And we learned how to read when we were in slavery.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all that to say is with what's happening in our world and the politicizing of Christianity is really I'm praying. Just pray for a brother, because right now I'm having some issues.
Yeah, and I so appreciate that, because I know so many people, African Americans, who just like struggling, like drawing a line in the sand, like, whose side are you on? Like, you have to stand up for us and say this is wrong, or not at all. So I really appreciate that.
I don't think that there's anything wrong or unbiblical. That's exactly what we're saying. I mean, I think that's exactly what we're saying. And to be honest, the more this period happens, again, I think that this is just like I said. I think this is a part of what's supposed to happen now.
Yeah.
I don't think this is just about, yes, it is a white black, but I mean, come on, like, especially if we're talking about Christians specifically, even if we broke this down to oppressed and not impressed, like, those are things that that really are clear delineations in Scripture and in life. So I don't have any. I don't feel bad. I have to say this. I don't feel bad. Even when I was in seminary before this season, I was one of the only black people there. So at first I was like, well, let's try to get along. It's like, no, y'all about to get all this down. Y'all are tripping.
Yes.
Yes. It is what it is.
Yeah. And tell me how you're, because we have some amazing white people in our lives, but I feel like they're stuck on what to say. And I'm trying to analyze that, like their uncomfortableness of what their people are saying or doing versus what they know. So sometimes it's a little awkward, and it's like, no, I don't know how to tell you how to be.
So
what I'm going through. Like, I don't know how to tell you how to handle it. Have you experienced that?
So I don't know if EC is experiencing this too, but this is what I'm gonna say. So I have the grace that I do give them is because I've been able to connect the anger and demands from Black women to Black men to the demands that I am placing on white people.
Yeah.
The fact that I recognize that even though I have an amazing mother and an amazing sister, that I realize that there is still some male privilege that I have that I don't recognize. Even in my attempts, I recognize that if they're trying, that there still may be. So they'll get some grace there. But if you ain't saying nothing, if you're not willing to do any work, I'm struggling to see you as anything but not you, but what you're doing as anything but a work of the enemy.
Yeah,
that's just what I see it.
Yeah, that's good. I think for me, I've been okay with people living in uncomfortability because we've had to live uncomfortable. all my life, I had to fight. So all my life, I've had to integrate and subjugate myself to situations, and so I think it's okay to be uncomfortable. And I like you, Winfred. I am dogmatic when it comes to, especially online. You know, we get those Twitter fingers going, and um, but I have a lot of friends, and I call them friends, but I have a lot of people I know in the white community who are Christians that are very vocal about a lot of things. Then when this subject came, June 2nd came, it was either a black screen on your Facebook and your Instagram or total silence. And so the black screen was to represent the blackout, and that was their voice. Okay, that's cool. So now follow it up.
Yeah.
And so I've put pressure on a lot of people. I am learning how not to pick fights because at one point I realized that I was becoming a troll and a bully because I was trying to find them. And I was going on their pages and all of that. But what I think I'm okay with the uncomfortability because we've had to be uncomfortable, and I've just gone right in. And I've lost, you know, you lose Facebook followers and all of that stuff, but I'm not going to not say to my brothers and sisters on my platform, because right now, because of the pandemic, that's about the only place, unless you're online, unless you're in a pulpit, it's about the only place where you can really speak out. I'm appreciative of the work somewhere where we talk about it consistently, but in the white Christian world or in the Christian world, online seems like the only place. So I am very intentional about having the conversation. I just really stopped posting about Black issue. Well, everything Black, probably in the last couple of months. But at one point, that's all you want to get from me. That's all you want to get from me. So, you know, it's accountability.
Yeah.
Holding the fire to our white Christian brothers and sisters to say, hey, you, as what you just said, Winfred, you have a responsibility to speak up. And reconciliation, I don't even want to hear the word reconciliation right now because reconciliation means you come back together. We were never together. Yeah, so you can't tell me we need racial reconciliation in the church. No, we weren't ever reconciled per se. Yeah. We worshiped together. You had representation, but not inclusion. So, yeah, let's hold them accountable, and that means sometimes turning the fire up.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad you said that because, you know, I do a lot of children's ministry, training, teaching, all that kind of stuff. So, particularly in the brand, when I'm posting, you notice, EC, when we go to those conferences, it's nothing but Caucasian white people there. Yeah. And so it's like, I gotta like, well, don't post that because, you know, your brand and you know, the conferences, and they're gonna feel uncomfortable and they might not add you to the agenda. And I'm like, I got to start my own agenda then. Like I got to start my own conference. I got to start my own because I don't want to play along while my people are struggling just so I can represent the brand, because the real brand is Jesus, equality. You know, that's the brand I want to represent. So have you guys been facing any of that as well? Because Winfred, you just out there on your little show. I've been watching Winfred's show, the scoop on Facebook. Y'all missing it because he just out there like, look, this is how it is. I'm gonna get my own tribe. We're gonna work it out.
And to be honest, that's why I did it. That's why. Yeah. So no, I would say no, not at all. I think I go. So the church I'm at here is a multicultural church. 55% Black. And even there, like these conversations are normal. So no, we're gonna talk about justice. I'm sure
Yeah.
no.
EC, because
Yeah, what were you gonna say?
I say how it is when we go to
Yeah, so it's interesting. When I was in Grand Rapids, one day I posted something while I was there about the current president at that time. Thank God for deliverance. Um, I posted something about him, about a press conference, and all my post was I tried to watch. It was the first press conference he had done, and that was 2018, in June or July. No. It was, yeah, it was somewhere around there. Anyway, I posted about it, and I said all I simply said was I tried to watch, and it was like watching a 5-year-old try to have an adult conversation. And I tell you the backlash. And I went to the gym. Long story short, came back, was downtown Grand Rapids eating. And I get this call from the, wow, there's probably a whole lot of information, but it's my story. So I don't care. I get the call from the EP, the executive pastor, saying, "Are you going to address your Facebook post?" And I'm like, "Yo, what do you mean?" And so there was this lady who snapped and said I was basically a bigot in a sense. I was teaching, I was over the youth, and how could the church let someone like me there who speaks against the president and speaking all this liberalism and da da da? All I said was the man can't talk. and but then a friend of mine who's educator who was assistant principal at one point, and so and her degree was in history and education. She addressed all of it on my behalf, and that's what they wanted me to take down or to address. And long story short, what I'm saying is the brand for me at that point, I realized that was someone else's brand.
Yeah.
And that I was keeping up with, keeping up for them. And I was told to be mindful. You work for here and be mindful what you say, because it was a multicultural church, but
Yeah.
be mindful, especially when you're speaking on and so I was like, yo, like, no, homie, okay. And so at that point, that was where I started seeing it. So yeah, I've been having conversation with one of our friends, Esther, about that, because about the brand, especially in children's ministry, and yeah, I'm probably not getting a whole lot of calls in that area for a whole lot of things because at this point it's out there, as Winfred just said, and at this point you can't close it back. You can't close a lid on it, and
Yeah.
so why start backpedaling now?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give it to you any way I can.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm having my own children's thing, so we'll connect there. Okay.
Yes, there you go.
Winfred, I got a question from Gwen, and she's still on. She said, "Is God pleased with His body of Christ?"
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I believe that God is mourning the body of Christ because there is such an there's an expectation for us to be like Him, and in so many ways we are not. And I think He mourns. I picture the scene of Jesus standing at the tomb of Lazarus.
Yeah.
Because that is a scene where Jesus knows what's about to happen, but he also recognizes what's happening in the moment. So, yes, he understands what we will become, but right now we're dead and we got the grave clothes and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
He's mourning. I don't think he's pleased at all.
And even about that, Winfred, I feel like this is why he is allowing all of us to go through this coronavirus moment, because our perception, our vision, our focus was so off of what he really wanted us to do. Like we were worried about numbers and seats and ties and it's like, no, I need you to have my agenda for my people, not your agenda for this building.
Well, I almost think, when was he pleased? And what do we mean by when? Because racism in the church and inequality has been going on
The beginning.
from the beginning. Like since we got 1619, when we were not even got off the boat, was drug off the boat.
Yeah.
It's been happening since then. They've been lynching us and then going to praise God. You know, they've been doing those things. They've been beating us and raping our women since the beginning, and then having church service. They would have church service, announce that they were going to lynch us after church service, and then have picnics around the fact that while we're hanging. So when has it's just like what happened at the Capitol. They get in the Capitol, take over, talk about lynching and killing and assassinating, and then they pray in the House chambers, or in in the House chambers.
Yeah.
How do you how does that reconcile? How do you reconcile that to God? So my question is, when has Christ been pleased in the last 200 to 400 years with the church?
Yeah.
He's had glimpses, just as you said, Winfred, he's standing at that tomb. He's had glimpses of hope because he knows who he is. But I don't think when he looks at his body that he's seeing his reflection in the body. He's had the hope in himself that he is our resurrection. He is our hope, our life. But if we were representing him, and especially if a certain part of the body was representing him, I don't know when he was last pleased.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, this wasn't even the conversation I was gonna have today, but I'm glad we have it. Winfred left me back. I gotta ask this question though, because the topic I was gonna use was man up today, because a lot of times, even Winfred kind of mentioned it, how we put the onus of manning up on men, like women, like Winfred mentioned about his mothers and sisters just seeing it, and the pressures that we kind of have as women, even less equal sometimes. But then sometimes I feel as women, we direct that. But I hear a lot of times, even in the church, I'm starting to recognize we were doing that. When we'll say, Adam, where art thou? Because two men showed up for the prayer call, or whatever. So can you explain that? Like, how do y'all feel about that man up, especially in church?
I was talking to my girl about it. I called her yesterday when I finally looked at like the question you initially were going to ask. And I said, yo, like my initial, like almost, it was like, forget men's ministry in church. I don't care nothing about men's ministry, but only because from the Black, and I'll speak from the Black church perspective, we have had such a, and I'm not talking about toxic masculinity. I'm talking about we've had such a toxic way of trying to raise men or talk to men. There's a difference between playing. I was thinking about this, about how, the things that's missing in the Black church for men is there's a difference between checkers and chess. We want our men to get by. We want them to slide. We want them to jump over. We want them to take shortcuts. And so we use man up as a way to say, just get it done. But the idea for me is it needs to be an aspect of teaching men how to think, because as a man thinketh, so is he. And so the issue is we miss out on the opportunity to develop men around the thought process. What makes us different in a sense, I think, than women is the idea that I thought we're by default more logical. And so galvanizing things and informations and ministry around that would be more helpful for the Black man in the church than just tell him to man up, because man up is a reaction. we want him to react, which is what the problem is. We're quick to react, and it seems like for me, and I'm just talking about me, all the times that I've made the biggest mistakes in my life, I was reacting. I was doing something. I was doing an action without thinking.
Yeah.
And if I would have stopped and took that one extra thought, and so, if God spoke to Adam first and in that intellectual way of here are all the rules, then it's a matter of getting us back to that thinking process. When I hear man up, I immediately hear emotion.
Yeah.
Act, do something. But you got to think before you act, because that's what gets us in trouble.
Ooh, that's good. Winfred?
So I feel like it's contradictory in some aspects, because I think, here we go.
Say it.
I think that most church, in a lot of church contexts, because it is typically the Black church, male dominated from a leadership perspective, that most male leaders actually tell us to man up, but want us to remain their boy.
Ooh.
They don't want us to think. They want us to do what they say.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want us to be men. They want us to be their children.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let me break this all and get all the way in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely have no desire. As much as I love, I love every pastor I've ever had. I ain't calling none of them my father. Winfred Burns Sr. is my father. They can be my brother. They could be my big brother. They could be my pastor. They could be my bishop. They could be my whatever title they have.
Mm-hmm.
But you cannot be my father. And the problem is, you want me to be your son, and I can't be your son and still because I have to challenge you.
Oh.
I challenge my own father. Mm-hmm. So now you want to tell me to man up, but I can't tell you to man up.
You have just answered my questions.
I can't tell you to man up. I can't go to you and say, hey, listen, I have a said problem with what you said. Like, I can't do any of that because I'm supposed to be a boy in your presence. So how dare you ask me to man up and pay you to man up, yet and still you don't want me to challenge you as a man, but that's what I need. I need to challenge you. I need for us to wrestle. I need you to tell me I'm wrong, and I need to say, well, I don't agree with that because this is why, and us to have this debate, that leads to me saying, man, now I get what you're trying to do. I can support that, but we don't want that. We want little boys who just say
this?
What we going?
He is on fire. He's on fire.
So I have to run. I have to run. I gotta do what I gotta do at 7:30. But let me say this, Winfred, thank you, brother, because it has always. I wondered why me and a certain pastor friend never got along.
Mm-hmm.
Is because, and I won't say we never got along, like we never got along, but I never took that aspect of fatherhood. He's my spiritual father. And now I understand this just in that little what was going on, because I never ever had that attitude because I didn't need a daddy. I had one at home.
Yeah.
In fact, I had two, my real father and then my uncle who raised me, who was there, who was a man. And it wasn't that my daddy wasn't, he was just elsewhere. Mm-hmm. And we have a good relationship. But the issue was just what you said. I never could get that mindset of relinquishing myself to this man as my daddy, my spiritual daddy. He was a man like me, is a man like me. And I challenged him and that. And we always bumped heads. And it seemed like there was some intimidation. Now I understand. I gotta go, y'all. I'm sorry, y'all.
No, you good. We'll be back again.
I love you. Yes. I'll talk to you.
All right. Bye. Winfred, that was so good. That was so good. And let me just say, from a woman's perspective, when I'm in the church and I see that from the leaders. I don't respect the man who responds
Who
like
lets them do it? Who lets them do it?
I just don't, because, and I get what you're saying, because I have two boys. They're not boys, they're 20, but I see them with their father, my husband and them, going back, and where as a good woman, they don't do that to me as their mother, but I understand when they're doing it, they're learning their manhood.
Absolutely.
And their voices is getting all loud.
Absolutely.
In a respectful way to get their point across. And then they come out with it like, okay, Dad, I see what you're saying, but they had to go through that male thing to do it. And so when I see it at church, I'm like, I don't have no like, you can't come trustee me nothing. Now you're gonna come tell me to move out my seat.
Thank you.
And you couldn't.
Thank you. Thank you. Talk to him like you talking to me.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I got two more questions. I'm gonna let you go because this was so good. Help us women. What do you want us women to know about men? Because even in my own journey of going through this with the COVID, me and my husband been by ourselves at home, and it's been wonderful. I haven't had the problems, but I come to realize in my busyness, I don't know what I need to know in all the areas of him.
Mm-hmm.
So what should women know that we don't often know?
What should women know that they don't often know? I would say that I think that one of the biggest, can I give two?
Yep, give two.
Here, one of the biggest mistakes that I see that women make is trying to make us or force us to fit into a person that we will never and should never be. Across the board, intellectually, physically, whatever it is. Like, don't try to make us fit into how you want us to respond. Because we're not going to do that, and by doing that, it really diminishes your honor for us, and it really, over time, is going to diminish our respect for ourselves. And you don't want that, because that's the reason why you love us.
Yeah.
So you don't want that. I would say that's the biggest. So give us that space to be who we really were. The biggest thing, the other biggest thing on the flip side of that, I would say, is to really, I don't think that you all understand the power that you have with us. The power that you have. I don't think y'all have a inkling because sexually you know how to manipulate us. But yeah. I don't think emotionally women understand that you all literally have the ability to break us down or to build us up.
Yeah,
I feel like that women somewhat get it, but every time we let you down, it tears us apart a little bit. And we might not ever tell you, you might not ever see it, but no, when the man is in your community, is in your home, you're in his heart. Every time he lets you down, he feels like a greater failure. And so to continue to point that out only further hurts. So I want to say to women, please hold us accountable, but also take into consideration that even when we fail, if we love you, we are trying to make sure that you are happy, trying to figure out how to make sure you're healthy, trying to figure out how to make sure you're protected and covered, trying to figure out how we can make sure, that the white man don't get you and all. Like, we're trying. Men are actually, the majority of men are really trying, and we're just not. We're not polished, like, you know what I mean? Like, we're not all polished. We're not all like, we're not polished people.
That's good. That was 2 good points. Ladies, when y'all watching this, pay attention. Last question. What, if anything, because I see pastors trying to figure out how to get back together, how to bring the people back together. And I keep having in my question, it got to be different. Like, we've been out, it got to be different. So What, if anything, do you want from organized religion today?
This is what I want. I want two things. Number one, kind of
Uh-huh.
when I want organized. I want the organized religion, Black Protestant church. I want us to make Sundays look like what Wednesdays look like, and with the addition of leaving even more space for Q&A.
Mm,
So it goes back to the thinking aspect of it.
yeah.
And we are because we are also Black Protestants are some of the most ignorant, biblically ignorant and illiterate religious people out there.
Mm.
I've been in church all my life,
Yeah.
all my life. And to not know some of the things that I should have, that I just learned, is criminal. And it's not necessarily just the church's fault. It's my fault.
Yeah.
Again, but there we have to get to the place where we're encouraging people to think, we're encouraging people to study, where this is not just an exercise in emotion, but this is a mental exercise that makes me say, I should not be able, excuse me, a Hebrew Israelite, a Jehovah's Witness, a Nation of Islam person should not know more about my faith than somebody. We should have eradicated this whole Christianity as a white man's religion thing by now. We
Yeah.
should know enough to be able to say that that's foolishness, because we have Tertullian, we know Augustine, we know all, like, these are things that we should be teaching on a regular basis. That's one thing. The other thing is skills. Ooh, get in trouble, Winfred Burns. I love my prophets. I got a family full of them. But we need prophets, intercessors, people of everybody, teachers, to start talking more about strategy than talking about emotional whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We need that.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know if God gonna bless me how.
Yeah.
I need to know if He gonna bless the work of my hands how I'm gonna launch this website, how I'm gonna get out of debt, how am I gonna and not just in the area of business, but how am I gonna raise these kids? How am I, like, we need strategy, y'all. We don't need no more feel good. We get it.
Yeah.
We get all of that. Give us the tools, the strategies to do it, and then you'll get more men. I can promise you that. You'll definitely get more men that way.
Yeah. 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 Usually at the end, I give my copy in Christ analogy. And I didn't even feel adequate enough, because I was like, well, I want to hear from the man perspective. I'm getting their perspective, so I don't feel like I have the final say. And what God gave me was, as a people, especially women, when we're trying to understand men, is in quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. I think as women who are watching in this and listening to you and EC, we have to roll back our tongues and listen more, be quiet more, and pray more. And so in my time with God, just trying to put this segment together for the ladies, because I think y'all gave enough for the brothers. But for the ladies who maybe end up watching this, in quietness and in confidence, that is our strength. And so we don't need to say man up no more. We already heard that they trying. So let's pray them through it. Thank you. Thank you so much, Winfred. I love when we connect and get together. I appreciate you being on. Tell people where they can watch your amazing show, because if y'all like this brother be telling the truth on his show. Y'all need to watch it.
The Scoop is every Tuesday night is the live from 8 to 10 p.m. Me and my two co-hosts. You can find us on Facebook at Real Scoop Show, and on YouTube, The Scoop Show. You can find us there. So of course you can find me on all social media at Winfred Burns II.
Yep. And if you're watching this, because I see a couple people share this, y'all, because I'm telling y'all, we need to see stuff like this. We need to see it. But I'm only going to be on Facebook a couple of more times this month, and then I'm taking everything to YouTube. So go to my YouTube channel, Sabrina L. Williams, and subscribe today so that you won't miss any of the rest of these Coffees in Christ, because they've been blessing me. Thank you, Winfred.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. You guys have a good day. Bye-bye.